Like I said, I think they're the best team in Texas in his first Super Bowl in year 2.
Giving away these key pieces for basically nothing.
I would bet on it.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
I'm
just
probably gonna take the under on their wins.
looking like they are going to have a terrible season now.
I'm not surprised if they make an AFC championship.
Mr. CTE, Mr. Antonio Brown.
It's gonna be scary hours for the AFC.
Uh, yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing. I guess I define winning.
So we're talking about the Stefon Diggs trade from the Bills to the Texans. How do we feel? Initial reaction. Let's start there. What was your initial reaction when you got the news?
It's probably not gonna like my take. I've always talked about his attitude on the Bills and how he was with Josh Allen. And I never really liked it. And then there was a little bit more information that came out about like when they lost against the Jets and how Stefon Diggs was complaining. And then we all knew there was turmoil in the locker room with Diggs and Josh Allen. I personally, I think if there was a star wide receiver to get, the last person I would want with a rookie quarterback is Stefon Diggs. That's just me. I just don't think the personality of somebody who complains that he doesn't get the ball enough, even when you're winning. I don't think it's good for any team. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm excited for the weapon that CJ is going to get, but I could also see it turning very badly and that the Texans don't progress because he's on their team. But I mean, that's why he's only on their team for a year. They probably see the same thing.
Yeah. So my reaction was different. My first thoughts were best team in Texas. Sorry, Dallas. You
Yeah,
just
I
got
mean,
bumped down.
I've been thinking that
Um,
even before
so
Stefon Diggs got there.
for me, it was just like, this is what all in looks like. That was my immediate
100%.
thought.
Yeah,
That was my first thought was this is what all in looks like. Add
100%.
another weapon, you go get Joe Mixon, so you've got your running back, you've got a star receiver, a true number one in some people's eyes. And then after that, it was we got to remake our prediction. That was my first thought. That was right after that. That was probably my second thought. Obviously, we don't need to go back and redo anything in actuality,
Well,
but
it's a smart play for the Texans because you don't know how Tank's going to be coming off an injury,
yeah,
right? Because that was your guy who was going to be your number one. He was moving in that direction. Obviously, Nico Collins is fantastic, and he was the number one. But that was the guy who was sort of surprising us all and moving into the number one slot, and then he gets injured, and we don't know if he's going to be the same when he gets back. So it's a smart decision having Stefon for at least a year to kind of see it. Is Tank still that guy? And especially when you're competing now with Stefon Diggs. If Tank Dell has a better season than what he did, I mean, I think it would be even more clear that he is the number one on that team. So I think it's a smart move by the Texans.
moving into the contract, as you're kind of alluding to it,
Yeah.
they brought him in with a normal contract, with whatever contract he had, hoping for essentially
It
an
was
extension.
31 mil. I think the Bills now take 31 mil in dead space for giving up Stefon Diggs.
Dead cap for this year, yes.
Yeah.
Um, so essentially by the Texans, so the Texans took on that deal to begin with. They have since wiped it. So it's a 1-year deal. It's a 1-year rental. Essentially, it's incentivizing a star player in a contract year, saying perform and we'll pay you.
Kind of like someone we know very well, Mr. CTE, Mr. Antonio Brown. A 1 year incentivized contract.
Different. I feel like that's very different. Same idea, but I think
Maybe
it's
he wasn't a 1 year. I'm probably spitting.
no, it is, but we're talking about a completely different situation here.
Yeah.
Either way, the Texans are incentivizing him, saying, "You've got 1 year to prove to us you're worth X amount of money." Um, will it, if he does get the contract, will it be market resetting money? Yeah, probably. But will he do it? I'm not sure. Now, in the spirit of what you're saying, where Stefon Diggs is a cancer in the locker room, why not take him for 1 year and get him for a year that he's going to be motivated to prove something?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe all they're doing is betting on it being a really good year, getting CJ the developmental guy for a year, and then maybe they don't plan on keeping him. Maybe it's a 1 year rental. They give him his contract and they trade him because CJ makes him look so good and he makes CJ look so good.
Yeah.
So it's a free agent attraction where they can show the Texans as a team can show free agents, hey, we're going to pay you, we're going to take care of you, right?
Yeah.
And it's also a career revitalization for Stefon. But maybe their plan as a whole isn't to, it's just to use him as a trade piece in a year, and boost CJ for a year. Now they have the contract space to do it because
Yeah.
most of their offense is on rookie deals. Most of their defense is on rookie deals. They've got a cheap team. They can do it. They can afford it. But it'll be interesting. I think, like I said, I think they're the best team in Texas. It's going to be scary hours for the AFC. I said this when we predicted their conference or their division. And with this trade, I feel even better about it. I'm not surprised if they make an AFC championship appearance.
Yeah. A little Brock Purdy action up in there. Uh-huh.
I wouldn't be surprised. If we get think about it. We're talking about probably Ravens versus Texans rematch,
Yeah.
AFC championship. Could be. Of course, you can't count the Chiefs out completely.
Yes,
but
100%.
But we think the Ravens are obviously going to be fantastic. We're going to get into them in a little bit, but that's what I wouldn't be surprised if we see that AFC championship and we see CJ potentially in his first Super Bowl in year 2.
First Super Bowl? I don't know.
And makes the Panthers regret their decision to not take him at 1.
Yeah, but I think here's the thing is that what the Texans are doing is great and very smart, building around his team, getting a great defense, getting all these weapons. I don't think the Panthers would have done the same thing. I think the Panthers, their organization is hiring all the wrong people. The owner of the Panthers is bad at his job. I think if they would definitely regret their decision, but at the same time, it would have been terrible for CJ to be on the Panthers because I don't think there would be the same amount of success on the Panthers just because that organization just for whatever reason is allergic to winning and being great unless you have Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey on your team. I think they're just allergic to it, and especially how they've been making their moves as of late. Like it's just ridiculous. So if they got CJ and then imagine if CJ only had Adam Thielen to throw. He only could throw to Adam Thielen. Like there's no weapons there.
You could make the argument though that he would have still been good.
Yes, very true. That's not the point. Point is Stefon to the Texans. I think I agree they're going to be very great. Do we want to go into now where this leaves my newfound love that is turned into a tragedy, the Bills? And what in the hell are the Bills going to do this year? The Bills have tight ends, nothing else. Tight ends and then James Cook. Nothing else.
I've been thinking about this. And it's so left field. Okay.
Okay. You have a lot of you barely swing right, so I'm prepared for your left.
What if we in the next 2 years see a complete reset from the Bills?
Okay, go deeper. What do you mean by that?
What if the coach is on thin ice? They haven't won with Josh Allen. They got him his weapon. They didn't win. He hasn't won yet. The defense has been shoddy. The weapons they've had are now all gone, to your point. They've got Dalton Kincaid, but he's not a number 1.
And
James Cook is only getting older. What if in 2 years we see the Bills blow it up? Whether Josh Allen's a part of it or not, I'm not sure.
I want to say go to hell, but if we remember how the Bills organization was before Josh Allen and all the success, they never really cared. They never really did care about what the fans thought. And like now we feel like they do, but that's also just because that they're winning and they're having success. But beforehand, it was like they're getting rid of these guys, and like the Bills fans hate it. But they still did it. So I mean, I could see it, but I don't know. Josh Allen's, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but he's a generational talent to me.
I 100% agree. But what is a generational talent worth on the open market? See what I mean?
But what I mean, you have said that this is the best QB class that they've had in a long time, and you don't see next year's prospects being close to this year's QB class.
No, but if you're gonna get rid of the like coaches on thin ice, McDermott, I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. Maybe he's gone by like midseason this year, and they give Josh Allen a year and a half to see if it works, and it doesn't. And then they say, we can get 2 firsts and a third for Josh Allen or something like that. Let's say they don't win, but he wins like he's in the MVP conversation, but they don't win games in the next year and a half.
Which he probably will be.
Why wouldn't you take calls? I get it. He's a generational talent. When you find your guy, you want to figure it out, but
I just wish they built around him. Like you gave up Stefon Diggs, haven't gotten anybody else. Like, yeah, they built around Josh Allen, but they did it poorly. They did not do it correctly. They did not build around him like they should have built around him. They gave him Stefon Diggs, and then it was cancer in the locker room, all this bickering back and forth. And then they're just like, yeah, we made a good call. Let's tell the media that they're on good terms. They're best friends this whole time. Meanwhile, they hate each other. And it's like you never really gave Josh Allen a chance. You're like, I gave you a weapon. Doesn't matter if he's a crybaby who wants the ball every single down. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I can understand the argument. We gave you a gun, but it's a rusty gun. They messed up not with Stefon Diggs, but by letting Dayball go.
100%. 100%.
Dayball was the beginning of the end. They should have got rid of McDermott and made Dayball the head coach.
But that's what I'm talking about with like their organization is it's like the Bills fans love Dayball. Like he was the guy for them. And they got rid of him just because of whatever. Who cares the reasons why? But I mean, the reason why I'm getting so upset is because I know that you're probably right because it's seeming that way. But I just want to put this out there that they did not build around Josh Allen the way they were supposed to build around Josh Allen. They should have built around him way different. They should have done, and I kind of like how they were. They have 2 tight ends, big tight ends, right, that he can throw to. It should have been like he should have had like a tight end who was like a superstar. That's what they should have gotten. They should have got a tight end superstar so he can do all these play action rollouts with his big legs, right, and go and throw the ball. But I mean, they wanted to play this. I don't even know their offense scheme, but they wanted him to be a pocket passer who could break the pocket whenever he wanted. But it's just they needed the build around kind of like what they did in Baltimore, with all these fast, speedy guys and with all these rollouts and Mark Andrews.
They have an opportunity to draft a guy this year, a new weapon.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing a lot of 11 personnel. I think the more important thing here, in my opinion, the Bills are going to be mediocre this year.
Okay, maybe
what do the Jets look like now? Okay, because that's a potential sweep for the Jets in division if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy.
Just give me a sec. Maybe I don't understand what you said by 11 personnel. Could you explain 11 personnel to me?
2 tight ends.
Okay. I thought you were just talking about players on the field.
No. 11, 12 personnel, 2, 3 tight ends.
Yeah.
Dallas does it a lot.
But yeah,
I think the bigger impact is in New York.
Yeah,
I think
the Jets could sweep the Bills for sure. Yeah. And then we could see a completely different playoff run than what we're looking at. We had the Jets being the top of that division. I feel like that is more likely to happen now.
But on the other side of things, if Josh Allen does play well and he proves his worth, then it's hard to argue that number one, he's not the MVP next year, and two, that he's not in the same class as Patrick Mahomes. So keep that in mind. It's a
If he
double-edged sword.
performs well, it also proves that he wasn't the problem, and it was this whole time Stefon, which I've been shouting
But
from the rooftops.
if he sucks and he gets
Yeah.
worse and he throws more picks,
Which he does do a lot. But I mean, even this year, he barely threw to Stefon Diggs. He barely threw to him this year, and they still performed.
but he was still a safety blanket.
Yeah, true. And he was also pulling guys away too. So the whole point of having a number one is if you can't get the ball to him, it's because they're double coverage.
You
which
don't
leaves it open
even
for
have
everyone
Gabe
else.
Davis anymore.
Okay, shut up about Gabe Davis. I was
But-
so happy
but
when
that's-
they were like,
no,
we got
no,
rid of Gabe
no.
Davis.
No, my point is that Stefon took guys away from Gabe Davis so that he could be even
So he
Out.
could drop the ball, not go 100%.
he could be a tenth of what he is. Now neither of them are there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, deep wide receiver class, as you said yourself. Maybe they draft a bunch of wide receivers. Who knows? But it is looking scary for them. It is looking like they are going to have a terrible season now.
I would bet on it.
Yeah,
I'm
it just
probably going to take the under on their wins, depending on where they land. I think they're at
Yeah.
9.5 right now. I'll probably take the under on that.
which I've never been huge on Stefon, but it's the fact that I've never been huge on Gabe Davis. It's the fact they got rid of both. Two people that were like in film when defenses are going up against the Bills. They're watching those two guys. Right now, when they're watching film, they're like, okay, you look at Knox.
Colton Kincaid and
Yeah.
Dawson Knox.
Yeah, you look
and
at
James
Dalton
Cook.
Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and James Cook. Those are three guys you look at, right? So yeah, I've never been big on them, but it does damper their offense heavily just because now you don't on the defense side, you don't have to worry about them. You only have to worry about your two tight ends and then running back. Such an easy way to cover two tight ends and running back.
I have
You
no
have
idea.
two
what they're gonna do.
linebackers. And
I
then
have
you
no
could
idea
run a
what they're gonna
3.
do.
You could have 3 linebackers. 4 linebackers if you really want. Yeah, it sucks that this was the year I confessed my love to Josh Allen and Bills Nation. And then all this happens.
They got an extra second, but I mean, I just have no clue what they're gonna do.
Yeah, it was, even talking about the trade, they kind of what is with like people getting ripped off in trades this year?
Just in the NFL.
Yeah, there's so many people getting ripped off, giving away these key pieces for basically nothing.
I think the other thing is too, though, that for the casual, not the casual fan, but not the NFL executive,
Yeah,
we way overvalue picks.
true.
Like for us, the example is Will Levis. Like I hate to keep coming back to it, but we all kept saying like the media was like he's a top 5 pick. He might even be number 1, second round. We way overvalue what these guys are worth to not necessarily what they're worth, because obviously some guys come out and they have crazy careers, right? We don't like Dak, but he was a 4th rounder. Is he a 4th rounder on the field? No, he's a 2nd round guy, maybe even a first, right?
And
So-
we way overvalue first round picks too. There's tons of second, third, fourths, even second day picks that turn into superstars.
And the other thing is too, is it's completely dependent on the draft. The number 1 pick in this year's draft has a completely different value than the number 1 pick did last year.
True.
Right.
I mean, just
So-
Trevor Lawrence and then CJ Stroud, right? Just right there. Just completely
Right.
different values.
Completely different values. Bryce Young versus Caleb Williams, number 1, both going to be number 1 picks. Completely different values.
We
for the number
don't
1
know,
picks.
bro. Why do you grab what I say and then you twist it into something that I don't like?
No, but
We
that's a
don't
fact.
know. It's not a fact. We don't know how Caleb Williams is going to be.
No, but I'm saying the value to be able to get the pick. Last year, if you tried to trade up for Bryce Young, maybe a first and a future first. This year, we're talking about just mocks right now. A first round, 2 first rounders, a future first, a player, and like a third is what we're talking about this year. So
Yeah, but
I'm
that's
talking
because-
strictly, I'm not talking about like Caleb in the NFL. I'm talking about strictly the value of the pick comparatively from last year to this year. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I agree with that.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not him being on the field because he hasn't. I'm just talking strictly on picks.
I was just
Oh.
worried you were trying to take my thing and twist it in a way that I didn't find pleasurable.
Just in general, like the value of the picks are completely different depending on the draft. And I think for us in the media, we completely overvalue certain players and picks in general when general managers and head coaches look at guys and they're like, what is all this hoopla about their buns? And to that point, you and I both
flipping
think
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance, I think JJ McCarthy's in that vein. So we'll see.
Trubisky.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, second pick
Sam
overall.
Darnold.
Yeah,
third
Sam
pick
Darnold.
overall.
Gosh, there's so many of those. That's why I have these takes about the flipping draft, because there's so many in these past couple of years that you can look at and just be like, this is what happens when we believe all these lies.
There's no grind set, bro. Pause. That was so cringy.
Grind set to the mindset. Get in the gym, work out, try and do some push-ups right now.
You wanted to talk about
give me
Bronny.
10 push-ups.
You wanted to talk about Bronny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, shout out Green Lantern, bro. The Green Lantern mug. I threw wine on myself earlier. I don't know if you saw that. I was wiping it up. Thankfully, this is fleece, so it didn't soak anything. It was like it just kind of beat it off. I'm still gonna have to spot treat it.
Shout out the fleece.
Shout out to fleece.
Shout out the fleece, baby.